What is up, guys? This is Tcg Sam here, and today I'm coming at you guys with a video on how to actually beat Tri-Brigade Zoodiacs, which is one of the top decks in the meta right now. So if you guys like this type of content, do let me know in the comments below. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, because it really helps keep me motivated to keep posting more videos like this. And with that being said, let's just hop straight into it. So a quick summary of what the deck actually does and why it's so good. So Tri-Brigade Zoos recently just took over in the May-June 2021 meta. It became really popular post Lightning Overdrive with the release of Bear Bloom. And why Bear Bloom is so good for the deck is because it allows it to search for a card called Tri-Brigade Revolt, essentially giving the deck an interruption on the opponent's turn with Sure Egg, as well as a follow-up, since the monsters summoned off of the Revolt effect, like Kit and Nerval, will get their effects, essentially allowing the Tri-Brigade Zoodiac player to play on both turns, getting the effects of like Nerval and Kit to fuel the graveyard on their turn, and then Nerval and Kit again on the opponent's turn while still disrupting them with Sure Egg. And then of course Sure Egg floats into something else as well, which is just pretty incredible. And since Revolt summons from the banished materials, it allows you to essentially use up resources that you've already used for your regular Tri-Brigade effects twice, essentially, putting them back in the graveyard, allowing them to be used a third time later on during the next turn when you draw another Tri-Brigade monster to banish the monsters from the graveyard. So essentially, it gives fodder for more future Tri-Brigade plays, as well as recycles old fodder that has already been used. And since Tri-Brigade already has strong follow-up plays, like, this just adds so much more to the deck. Because, like I said, it gives them more follow-up plays with future Tri-Brigade monsters that, of course, they can search during their turn with Tri-Brigade Revolt and Nerval. Combined with the Zoodiac engine, however, it also gives the deck access to all the benefits of the Zoo engine, like a 1-card Dryden, which is a very solid disruption card, as well as a 1-card Zeus with multiple sends. So we all know how powerful Divine Arsenal A Zeus is. It can be going second card that completely blows out your opponent, or it could be like a finisher on your board to act as disruptions on your opponent's turn. Especially with the Zoodiac cards, you can put up multiple sends with the Zeus as well, making it super powerful. And of course, the Zoo engine can be as small as you want it to. It doesn't have to like consist of most of the hands that like you draw in the deck. You can draw like one Zoo monster and like Tri-Brigade stuff, and then you have the option to choose between whichever one, depending on which one is better. And in addition, since the Zoo monsters are all Beast Warrior monsters, it has in natural synergy with the Tri-Brigades. One, because of Tenki can search the Zoodiac monsters, or it can search for Fractal, which is probably the best starter in Tri-Brigades. And once it goes to the graveyard, it gives more fodder for Tri-Brigade plays, since it's a Beast Warrior that they can banish. And especially if you're stacking like 2-3 materials under a Dryden, like once that Dryden dies, be it through Zeus Sends or just dying naturally, like that gives you like a link 3 or 4 that you can summon off your Tri-Brigades, which is just absolutely insane. So overall, the synergy between the two archetypes are very powerful, and both can actually act as standalone engines. So it doesn't matter if you draw one side of the deck or the other, you're still able to actually play the game no matter which side of the deck that you draw. But when you combine together, it offers so much more power and consistency, and can make for some really scary boards that honestly give the deck a lot of potential disruptive abilities, as well as follow-up, which is one of the most important things of this meta right now. So how do we actually beat the deck? The main way is to deny the effects of the Tri-Brigade monsters to banish from the graveyard. So if you guys like don't know already, all the Tri-Brigades, like their main effect allows them to banish monsters from the graveyard, like Beast Warrior, Beast, and Wing Beast, I believe, as cost, and then summon a Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast Link monster from the extra deck with like the same rating as the materials banished. Like all of them have that same general effect, and if you're able to stop that, the Tri-Brigade engine essentially just doesn't do anything after that. Like they can fuel their graveyard all they want, but if they don't have the effect to banish and summon Link monsters, like they're never gonna get enough. They're rarely gonna get enough monsters to actually make the links themselves. And some of them, they can't even make the links the proper way, like the ancient Warriors Link 2 Disruptors thing. They usually can't make it properly. But yeah, the way you stop that, of course, is with a card like Artifact Lancia. Lancia will prevent the Tri-Brigades from banishing from the graveyard. You can shotgun it when they summon a Tri-Brigade monster, and that Tri-Brigade monster is essentially stuck because they can't use its effect. You can keep the graveyard empty with a card like Dimension Shifter. If the cards never hit the graveyard in the first place, the Tri-Brigade monsters have no effects because, well, they can't really do anything without anything in the graveyard. Of course, you can Valorate Impermanence the monsters to negating their effects on the field and making it so they can't banish from the graveyard. Or something that's a little less known, I haven't really seen it being used, is a card like Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion on the Tri-Brigade Revolt. Tri-Brigade Revolt is one of their best disruption cards on their opponent's turn, and that's essentially what allows the Tri-Brigade engine to play on your opponent's turn, because beforehand they had no consistent way to have access to it, but now with a card like Bear Bloom, they're pretty much accessing it every single turn one when they go combo. So if you're able to spell the Revolt, not only do you stop the Shureg from coming out and disrupting you, you also stop them from getting a follow-up from their banish zone and like searches with Nerval and a dump with Kit. However, you may notice that these things only really just stop the Tri-Brigade part of the deck, which, I mean, if it doesn't do anything to half the deck be in the Zoodiacs, like, especially since Lancia, D-Shift, or Bell just pretty much do nothing versus the Zoo engine, like, what are you supposed to really do? And even without the Tri-Brigade things for a turn, the Zoodiac engine still allows the deck to disrupt with like Dryden and Zeus, and not to mention the generic disruptions that they still probably play, like hand traps or just traps like Ice Dragon's Prison or Salt and Strike. So aside from hand traps, things that are actually good against both sides of the deck would be a card like Forbidden Droplets. Forbidden Droplets can negate cards like Trident, Zeus, the Ancient Warrior Link, or Shureg as a quick effect, which is the most important part, especially since cards like Shureg are going to be coming out on your turn most of the time, as in the middle of a chain, maybe even. So having a card like Dropless is very important, because a card like Dark Ruler won't be able to stop like Shureg's effect, and Shureg's effect is very, very huge. It also will only pretty much be able to stop like card like Trident and the Ancient Warriors Link realistically. Although Dark Ruler can be a decent budget option to Forbidden Droplets if you can't afford Droplets, I would still say Droplets is a lot better against the deck, because like I said, it shuts off all of their disruption monsters, and in addition, it can be used as a disruption to shut off, like, to act as a pseudo Valor Imperm for the Tri-Brigade monsters. So yeah, Droplets definitely a good card to consider. And since the monsters don't have effects on summon, one of their biggest weaknesses is having their monsters removed as soon as they're summoned before they get a chance to use their effects or go into Zoodiac XYZs. For example, if your opponent normal summons a Zoodiac Ram, Thoroughblade, Whiptail, if you just get rid of that monster somehow, be it through a card like, I don't know, your own Trident maybe, if you just pop that monster, they won't ever be able to go into their Trident or their Zeus, assuming they have no extenders, of course. Or if you stop a card like Karas when it's summoned, they can't banish the monsters from the graveyard, meaning they won't be able to get the link monsters out, and then they'll have lost the resource. So since like I said, if your opponent doesn't have extenders, and just stopping like their normal summon or like their one extender usually is going to be Karas, you should just be able to win the game from there, because of course they need their small monsters to kind of bridge themselves to get into their bigger monsters. And however, like, while they do have like certain numbers of archetype extenders like Karas or Barrage, these are very like limited in how often your opponent's gonna have them. Like Barrage, obviously, because it's at 1. Karas, you have to have a resource already in hand to discard to summon it. And like, yeah, just remember that while they do have access to extenders like this, I would say 9 times out of 10 you definitely want to target their initial summon, be it a Zoo monster or a Tri-Brigade monster. So cards like IP Masquerena into Unicorn is good. You can Solemn Strike the Zoodiac XYZ monsters, or the effective Tri-Brigade monsters. You can punishment those monsters on summon, and then use other entity Entis like Puppet Extender if they have it on board. But yeah, that also brings me to like my next point. Like, there are a bunch of solid traps. Like, there can be only one Floodgates like that. Summon limited and stuff can completely shut off their entire deck, because they are a combo deck that needs to summon a lot. Cards that banish monsters when they go to the graveyard, like Dimensional Fisher or Macrocosmos, are also very, very good. Like I said before, Floodgates, like, there can be only one. It can completely shut off the Zoo engine, because if they normal Zoo, they won't be able to go into their XYZs because they're all Beast Warriors. It can hinder the Tri-Brigade part as well, depending on what they summon first. Like, for example, I believe Fractal and the Ancient Warriors Link are all Beast Warrior monsters. So if they summon Fractal and attempt to use his effect, you can chain There Can Be Only One. They won't be able to summon the Ancient Warriors Link to out the There Can Be Only One. So that can be a very oppressive Floodgate as well. Unfortunately, cards like Anti-Spell Fragments and Imperial Order, while they do play some decent spells like Tenki, they don't play any like crucial spells. Most of their effects come from their monsters, so floodgates like that aren't really good, but floodgates that like stop their normal summon, floodgates like skill drain if anyone still plays that, like regular traps like Storm Strike, Ice Strike is very good. It takes out resources from their graveyard and from their field. Dogmatic and Punishment, like I mentioned, can be trading 2 for 1, getting rid of their monsters. But yeah, overall, there are definitely ways to counter this deck, even though this deck is very good. It's very consistent, very scary really, because it has like a lot of decent extenders as well. But if you just keep in mind these things that I mentioned, you should be able to beat the deck, even if you don't specifically have the right cards to counter it. Like I mentioned, like let's say you don't draw Lancia, you don't draw Droll and Lockbird, you don't draw Dimension Shifter or something like that. If you just remember like how the deck plays and what the goal of the deck is, like I mentioned, like remember their small monsters kind of bridge them into their big monsters. Like the Zoo monsters you need a Zoodiac normal level 4 Zoodiac monster to go into your Zoo XYZ engine, and you also need to fuel your graveyard and then have a Tri-Brigade on the field to banish the cards for a card like for their effects to summon the Tri-Brigade monsters. So yeah, just remember that removing like the normal monsters on the field can be very good. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of these counters. Let me know if you guys agree. If you have any more counters against the deck, do let me know in the comments below. I'd be very curious. Hopefully we can all learn from this together, and yeah, just have a better chance of beating this deck, because this deck is one of the most powerful deck, if not the most powerful deck in the meta right now. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and with that, I will see you guys soon. Take care.